Chapter 2, The Birth of Red Scorpion. Krasnovar, 2049 to 2065. A Spark in the Gray. The industrial sprawl of Krasnovar loomed like a scar on the earth, its smokestacks belching ash into a perpetually gray sky. Born in 2049, Elena Vorshka grew up in the Southern Pact's fortress city, a place where hope was as scarce as clean water. The Pact, a coalition of authoritarian states forged in the crucible of resource wars, bred its people to endure. Krasnovar's citizens toiled in factories that churned out war machines, their lives dictated by quotas and curfews. Elena's childhood was no different, though a fire burned in her that the city's grayness couldn't extinguish. Her father, Ivan Vorshka, worked the steel presses at Factory 17, his hands calloused from years of wrestling molten metal. When Elena was 6, a press malfunction crushed him, leaving only a folded Pact flag and a meager pension for his widow, Anya, to raise Elena and her younger brother, Mikhail. Their apartment, a concrete box in Block 9D, smelled of damp rot and boiled cabbage. At night, Elena would lie awake, listening to the distant rumble of mech assembly lines, dreaming of a life beyond the ration lines.
Elena, stop staring at the ceiling.
Her mother snapped one evening, stirring a pot of watery stew. She was a wiry woman, her face etched with worry.
Dreams don't fill bellies.
Elena, perched on a rickety stool, clutched a dog-eared book about starships.
I'm not dreaming, Mama. I'm planning. I'll get us out of here.
Anya's laugh was bitter.
Out? To where? The Pact owns us. Eat your soup.
But Elena's spark refused to dim. At 12, her sharp mind and relentless drive caught the attention of the Pact's youth cadre, a program that scouted promising children for military training. During a school aptitude test, she solved a complex spatial puzzle faster than anyone, her fingers dancing across the touchscreen with a precision that left the proctors stunned.
"You've got a gift, Vorshka,"
The proctor, a grizzled sergeant named Kolov, said, scribbling on his tablet.
"Ever think about piloting? Mechs, maybe?"
Elena's eyes gleamed.
If it gets me out of Krasnovar, I'll pilot anything.
Kolov chuckled.
"Careful what you wish for, kid."
Mech Pilot Academy, 2065 to 2068. The Scorpion's Sting. By 16, Elena was fast-tracked into the Mech Pilot Academy, a brutal proving ground in the Pact's northern wastes. The Academy's simulators, hulking machines that mimicked the Titan and Raptor-class mechs, were her crucible. She spent hours strapped into their cockpits, sweat stinging her eyes as she navigated virtual battlefields. Her peers, mostly boys from wealthier Pact families, mocked her Krasnovar accent and threadbare jumpsuit. She answered with her fists, and, later, with her performance. In one mock battle, Elena's Raptor simulator outmaneuvered 3 opponents, her laser volleys slicing through their virtual armor with surgical precision. As her screen flashed victory, her squadmate, a lanky cadet named Dmitri, banged on her cockpit.
"Damn, Vorshka!"
He shouted, grinning.
"You stung him like a scorpion."
The nickname stuck. Elena liked it. It fit the venom she felt when she fought, the need to prove she was more than Krasnovar's ash and poverty. Her instructors saw potential but worried about her ruthlessness.
You fight like you've got nothing to lose.
Captain Lena Orlova, her tactics instructor, told her after a training session. They stood in the hangar, the air thick with the smell of oil and coolant. Orlova, a veteran with a scar across her cheek, studied Elena's defiant posture.
I don't...
Elena replied, wiping sweat from her brow.
Not yet.
Orlova's eyes softened, but her voice stayed hard.
Find something worth fighting for, Scorpion. Hate alone burns out.
Elena didn't answer, but Orlova's words lingered. Ashen Plains, 2068 First Blood. Elena's first real combat came at 19, during a border skirmish in the Ashen Plains, a desolate stretch of cracked earth where Pact and Northern Coalition forces clashed over rare mineral deposits. Piloting a Raptor-class mech, Iron Fang, she was part of a recon lance tasked with flushing out Coalition scouts. The cockpit vibrated with the hum of her fusion core, her HUD glowing with targeting data. Outside, the plains shimmered under a blood-red sunset.
Scorpion, you've got 2 bogeys, bearing 270.
Her squad leader, Lieutenant Barkov, barked over the comms.
Engage or evade?
Engage.
Elena said, her voice steady. She didn't wait for confirmation. Her Raptor sprinted across the dunes, its claws kicking up ash. The Coalition scouts, piloting lighter Hawk-class mechs, were fast but outgunned. Elena's lasers carved through the first, its chassis erupting in a fireball. The second tried to flee, but she anticipated its zigzag, landing a missile that left only wreckage. A third scout ambushed her from a ravine, but Elena's reflexes were sharper. She spun, unloading a plasma burst that melted its cockpit. When the dust settled, Barkov's voice crackled through.
3 kills, Scorpion? You're a damn menace.
Elena didn't smile. The kills felt good, but not enough. She wanted more, a way to claw her family out of Krasnovar's grip. Her commendation came with a promotion to lieutenant, but the victory was hollow. Back at base, she found Mikhail waiting, his infantry uniform patched and ill-fitting. He was 17, conscripted despite Elena's protests.
"You look like a hero,"
he said, his grin boyish despite the shadows under his eyes. Elena punched his shoulder, hiding her worry.
And you look like you need a meal. Come on, I'll sneak you some officers' rations.
Krasnovar, 2070, the birth of Red Scorpion. Mikhail's death shattered her. In 2070, a Coalition airstrike obliterated his platoon in the Iron Hills. Elena was on leave, sitting in her mother's apartment, when the news arrived via a curt, packed telegram. Anya collapsed, sobbing, clutching Mikhail's old toy tank. Elena stood frozen, the telegram crumpled in her fist.
I should have gotten him out.
She whispered, her voice raw.
I was supposed to protect him.
Anya's eyes, red-rimmed, met hers.
You can't save everyone, Lena. Not in this war.
Elena didn't cry. Grief hardened into something sharper, vengeance. She returned to her base, her Raptor waiting in the hangar. Ignoring regulations, she painted it blood red, the color of her rage. On its flank, she stenciled a scorpion, its tail curled to strike. Her squad watched in silence, sensing the shift in her.
Red Scorpion.
Dmitri murmured, half awed, half wary.
That's you now.
It's who I have to be.
Elena said, her voice cold as the steel around her. DMZ, 2078, the Crimson Lance. By 2078 at 29, Elena was the Pact's most feared ace, commanding the 9th Crimson Lance from her custom Viper-class mech, Sting of Krasnovar. The Viper was a marvel, sleek, lightweight, with laser arrays that could carve through Coalition armor like a surgeon's scalpel. Its cockpit was her sanctuary, its controls an extension of her will. Leading her lance in the DMZ, a lawless buffer zone of craters and ruins, she perfected hit-and-run tactics, striking Coalition convoys and vanishing into the fog. Her kill count rivaled Jason Ride's, the Coalition's own ace, though Elena didn't boast like he did. Ride's catchphrase, another one for the choir, echoed in Pact intelligence briefings, but Elena saw kills as debts repaid. For Mikhail, for Krasnovar, for every lie the Pact fed her about the Coalition's evils. Her squad adored her, though she kept them at arm's length. During a rare downtime in a DMZ bunker, Dmitri, now her second-in-command, tried to crack her walls. The air smelled of recycled oxygen and instant coffee as they cleaned their gear.
You ever think about what's next, boss?
He asked, polishing a laser lens.
After the war?
Elena's hands paused on her tablet, where she was reviewing terrain maps.
There is no after, Dmitri, not for us.
He frowned.
Come on, Scorpion, you've got your mom. You send her half your pay. That's something.
She snorted, but her eyes softened.
Mama's the only thing keeping me human. Don't push it.
Still, cracks showed. The Pact's propaganda, tales of coalition atrocities, rang hollow when Elena saw her own side-torch villages for strategic denial. She began to suspect both sides were pawns in a larger game, but vengeance and duty kept her fighting. Her mother, frail and living on Elena's pension in a slightly better apartment, was her anchor. Grid 7 Alpha, 2078. The Clash with Ride. In the weeks before her fateful clash with Jason Ride, Elena grew restless. Intelligence reports obsessed over Ride's Iron Requiem, a hulking Paladin-class mech bristling with autocannons. She studied his tactics in her bunk, her tablet's glow casting shadows on her face. Ride was a killer, like her, but driven by ghosts. Rumors spoke of a lost family, a vendetta older than the war.
He's good.
She told Dmitri during a briefing, tapping the tablet.
Predictable, though. He overcommits when he's angry.
Dmitri raised an eyebrow.
You planning to piss him off, boss?
Elena's lips twitched.
If it gets him to chase me, yeah.
The plan was bold. Bait Ride into a frozen valley in Grid 7 Alpha, isolate him, and burn him down with sting of Krasnovar's lasers. Her lance deployed at dawn, their mechs crunching through snow, under a sky like bruised steel. Elena's HUD pinged with coalition signals. Ride was there.
Scorpion to Lance.
She said over comms.
Flank wide, draw their escorts. Ride's mine.
The battle was chaos. Ride's Iron Requiem tore through her lance's left wing, its cannons roaring. Elena danced Sting of Krasnovar through the fray, lasers flashing, but Ride was relentless. He sacrificed his squad to close the trap, his mech charging through her barrage. A cannon slug tore through Sting's leg, and warning klaxons screamed.
Eject, boss!
Dmitri shouted as Sting buckled. Elena punched the ejector, her cockpit blasting into the blizzard. She landed hard, snow biting her face, her arm broken. Crawling to a Pact extraction point, frostbite gnawing her fingers, she replayed the fight. Ride had won, but she'd seen his weakness. A man fighting for ghosts, not a cause. In a Krasnovar hospital, Elena stared at the ceiling, painkillers dulling the ache. A nurse, a young man with kind eyes, checked her chart.
You're lucky to be alive, Captain,
the nurse said softly. Elena's voice was a rasp.
Luck's got nothing to do with it. I'm not done.
The nurse hesitated.
Who are you fighting for, if I can ask?
Elena's gaze drifted to a photo on her bedside. Mikhail, grinning, and her mother, weary but proud.
Debts.
She said.
And maybe something more.
She'd rebuild. She'd get a new mech. And when she faced Ride again, the Scorpion would sting first.